Okay, so today I'll be working on changing out an alternator on the Land Rover LR3 here. The road behind me just a little while ago, I was driving on my way to work. Red battery light came on. That indicates an issue usually with the charging system. And I was already halfway on my commute, so I went to work, drove my way back, almost home, just a couple miles from home. The thing totally shuts down. You see the screen go off, all the electricals going off, and then finally, boom, it sort of quits on me. And no surprise, as soon as I was on the side, I was thinking, it's the alternator. Had it drug home, checked the battery's like at 8 volts. And the reason is because it was just running on battery power the entire way for me to go to work and back. So today, I'm going to try to replace the alternator. Should just have to release the belt, 3 bolts, and a nut, and a plug. That should be it. Hopefully it goes as easy as it sounds. But we'll get it squared up here, and I'll show you what the alternator looks like here in a moment. Okay, so this is the alternator. This is the new one. I haven't taken out the old one yet. But this is going to be on the lower passenger side of the car. This is what spins to make your electricity on the belt. It's going to have 2 bolts that are going to go through here. Another bolt that's going to attach near the top, so I guess this would be bottom. This is top. And this is the front of the engine. This is the back of the engine. If we turn around, what the back has, it has a plug here, and it has a access point to put on your positive battery terminal. So that's where the charge is going to come out. Okay, so that's the gist of it. Quite honestly, for these, mine is still spinning. So what fails on them, if you look on the back, you don't have to actually replace the whole alternator, but you have these 3 bolts here. You take it, pull off this back piece, and you would find that this shaped item here, you can sort of see the cooling fins on it. It's sort of the electrical brain of it. It decides when to charge, how much to charge, that type of thing. That top piece inside this plastic piece is generally what goes bad. So you could actually disassemble the top, remove that piece, and then put that back together, and you'd be all good to go. I think those run about 35, maybe $50 for just the chip on top. But depending on what you want to do, if you want to get a whole new one, or if you just want to rebuild the one you have, if you want to rebuild it, just pull off this back piece. You'll be able to access the component you need to replace, most likely. Unless it's a bearing. If it's a bearing, then you're better off just replacing the whole thing. For me, simplicity, bought a whole new one. I'm going to chuck it in there, and let's see how it goes. Hood is open. First thing is going to be getting the belt off the alternator. So we have to remove or loosen the belt tensioner. The belt tensioner is on this side, so I'm going to hold it right here, and then I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm looking at. That right there is the belt tensioner. See, it has that pulley. I'll even try to move this hose out of the way. My hand gets in the way when I try to do that. Anyway, you can see it's gray. One of the things you'll notice that's different about the other stuff down there is that it has a square hole in the top of it, right there. That square hole is so you can put a 3/8 inch drive in it and then leverage it. Okay? So that is where the pulley is. Now I'm gonna use this breaker bar. It doesn't need to have a lot of leverage. I just need a long handle and a 3/8 inch drive at the end. We'll see how it fits in there. That's what we'll do next. For reference, the alternator is actually on this side. Don't know if we can make it out. It's too dark in there, I think. Oh yeah, there you can start to see, maybe. Maybe not. Anyway, alternator is down on this side. We're going to access it from the bottom. I may have to remove a splash shield down there as well. But for this point, that is where the belt tensioner is. Where to go, where to go, where to go, where to go. There it is. That is the belt tensioner. Okay, I took off that extension. It only needs to be short and stubby. But you can see why a long handle is needed. I haven't put any tension on it yet, and it's just barely poking out. But you can see right now you've got my breaker bar going down to the belt tensioner, and then it's stabbed into that socket I showed you earlier. Okay, so now we're going underneath the Rover on the passenger side. I've raised up the suspension so there's more room to work underneath. That's one of the fun things about Rovers, eh? Anyway, we're gonna move this panel right here. It's got an attachment here. There's one here you can't see because of the camera angle. One here which I've already taken out, and this one that I'm working on right now. In case you're not familiar with these fasteners, they're not hard to get out. But what you do is, you know, they look flat like this one up here. Let me find it again. I'll have to zoom out. Okay, it looks sort of flat. I started to pry that one up, but there's a center and an exterior. So you pry up the center until it's like this one here. Where'd it go? Here. And then when you pry the center out, that makes it so you can pull the whole thing out. Okay, so I took out the center. The center is like a little stick. And then all you're left with is this piece. And then that piece comes out, well, it should come out nice and easy. Yep, not hard. So what it does is the center expands it so that it gets stuck in there. But once you pull out the center, you can remove this. Okay, so you just take those four off. This is not hard. So just pry out the center and pop them out. I'm gonna do that one next, and then I'm gonna hit the one that's hiding behind this splash guard. Okay, I've got out the 4 pins. This is what it is like behind it. Ta-da! There's the alternator. Exactly what we're looking for. So we'll have access to that. These are those 2 bolts we'll take out the bottom. There's one sort of hidden up at the top. We'll have to hunt for that one a little bit. The power cable is attaching right. I need to get a flashlight for you guys, but right in there. It's that thing right there. That's the power cable. Also, just for reference, I unplugged the battery a long time ago. You should too. And then anyway, we're gonna loosen up the belt so we can take off the belt right there. That's gonna be the next step, taking off the belt. In case I didn't describe how to take off the belt tensioner, I've got my breaker bar attached to the belt tension right there. You can see it. It's slotted in with a 3/8 drive into the square hole on the belt tensioner. And then what you do is you just, you know, if this is up, and you take it and you move it this direction. It doesn't move this easy. It's just moving that easy because there's slop in the socket I have on there. But once you get it tight, then you push it down, and as you push it, then it loosens it on this side. Okay? If you need a better video of it, one more description of what's happening. So you have the belt tensioner. It's basically like this, and as we move the breaker bar, it tilts the belt tensioner this way, which then removes the tension off the serpentine belt, and you could either pull it off here, or if you have a helper or something down below, they could pull it right off of the pulley off of the alternator. So that's how it is we'll take this, we'll move it to the left. You could put a breaker bar on if you want it. If you need more room, you can remove this air box, but that's it. Okay, so I've got the belt off of the alternator. I've also loosened those 2 bolts. I didn't take them out entirely. The reason is because I don't want it to drop it yet, because I still have the top bolt to get to. And I was taking this video here just to show you sort of where it is. I mean, that's why we looked at the new alternator ahead of time, is because we know it's up here in the top, but it's sort of behind this, so it's offset. It's actually at a bit of an angle, and so this is actually on the bolt right now. This is just the belt that I took off. But you can see it's up and behind it. It's also sort of at a bit of an angle that's complicated, because if we used a shorter one, I hit this other belt tensioner right here. But I think with this longer one, I'll be okay. It'd be great if it was just a little bit shorter. You could potentially get one that was like right in between the pulley and here. But anyway, up at the top, you'll be able to get to it. And right now this is on that nut, so I'm going to loosen it now. Okay, this is the old versus the new alternator. I want to show you up close on this connector, because this was actually the most difficult thing I felt to get off of the entire operation. You can see that it has a little indent here. When you're getting it off the alternator, you're gonna have to pinch it like this, not on the sides, but top to bottom. It's the bottom that will flex in, and then that makes it so you can pop off. So knowing how to pull that off is a big deal. Since you're gonna be doing it blind, you jam your hand up there, you reach behind the alternator, and then you'll squeeze it, and then you can pull it out. Same thing, this is the new one. That was the hardest part. This is the battery connector, and I'll flip them over, show you that, and then we'll show you where we're going. Okay, this is the old one. This is the new one. Pulley, this is the front. Well, let's put it in. Okay, so this is the underside with the alternator removed. These are the 2 bolts at the bottom, 1, 2. Those are of course really easy and obvious. That hole right there is the one at the top. This is the battery cable, and I'll pull out the plug here in a little bit because I felt that was the hardest thing. Okay, so as for order of operations, first I loosened the 2 bottom ones because they were really easy to get to, but I didn't pull them out all the way. Then I did the top bolt, pulled it out all the way. I did the battery thing last because it was easier when I could pull it out. But after I took out all 3 bolts entirely, and then I got my hand around the back and I pulled out this connector. I want to show you this connector because I feel like it's the most difficult of the thing. So on the back there is the connector, so it's smooth on top. On the sides there's nothing, but on the bottom that's what you have to pinch to release it. So you pinch, it'll be in there, so you'll pinch the very back of the plug. I want to zoom in really close since this to me was removing these plugs is always something. You don't want to ruin the wiring harness or something, right? So that's the plug. That's what it looks like. This is the underside. You squeeze it and then you can pull it out to the back of the vehicle. So that's that one. Okay, so I'm going to install it, of course. The reverse, that being, I'm going to attach the battery cable first. Then I'm going to put on the wiring harness connector. So battery, then wiring harness connector. Then I'm going to bolt up the 3 bolts. And that'll be that. Hopefully it goes that smooth. Here we go. There we go. There's the new alternator in there. Put it in just the opposite of taking it out. That being, I put the power cable on first. After wheeling it up in there, then I put on the electrical clip that came in the back. Then the top bolt, then the 2 bottom bolts. And then pulled the belt tensioner and threw the belt on there. So great news is that was my problem. Battery light is gone, and I can double check at the battery and I can see that I'm putting out 14 volts of charging, where before it was 8. Well, which is basically 0. It's just it going dead. So anyway, hope it helps. Good luck.